Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this whole Brock Turner incident, and I'm going to put this into the context of my normal masculinism topic, rather than discuss whatever else is going on with it in the jail sentencing and everything else. That's already being covered by other people. Let's really talk about the meat and potatoes of this as it pertains to the topics I normally cover. Masculine behavior, traditional male values, and male role models, because we have a little bit of a distinction here. Because what is the difference between the young men that we saw in this story? You have Brock Turner, Olympic hopeful, scholarship swimmer in college, who finds a passed out young girl who's drinking and she's drunk, and he basically drunk rapes her, versus the two men who confronted him. And when they did, he ran, they tackled him and held him down until the police got there. Young men in the same age category. Why does one become a predator of the helpless, and these other two young men become the defender of the helpless? And I think role models play a big role there. And I think it's pretty clear to see what's going on when you look at what happened with Brock Turner's father. Because again, role models and upbringing are everything to masculine mindset and being a true alpha male. And I want to remind you guys, I define an alpha male as not a little child who does whatever he wants. An alpha male is a male who understands that as a man of his tribe or of his community, he has an obligation to be a protector, a defender, a teacher, a mentor to others, a leader. Those are the defining characteristics of an alpha male. They have a sense of duty and obligation. Just like these young men who stumbled upon this and reacted as the defenders of this helpless woman. All right, look at Brock Turner's father. What was his response during sentencing? His whole public thing of saying, hey, this is going to affect my son's life too much. This is going to hurt him too badly. And any father is going to want to defend his son. He's going to want to defend his legacy. But the words that he used was over 20 minutes of action. He didn't say over my son making a terrible choice while intoxicated, over my son doing something that was wrong. He said 20 minutes of action. His father saw having sex with a passed out drunk girl who had not given consent to be action. This is the man who raised Brock Turner and gave him his values as his male role model. And apparently he did instill his own values into this young man, which is including seeing raping women as action. Having sex with a woman who hasn't given any consent is just action. It's having a little bit of fun. It's just relieving your sexual frustration, and that it's okay to do so because we're just animals and we have a drive that we can't control, and sometimes we just need to get laid. I would suggest that Brock Turner turned out to be this way because of his father, the lack of a proper male role model who taught him his role in society as a man, his obligations as a man to be a defender of the helpless, so the women and children of their tribe, not to be a predator of the helpless. Because that's the difference. What happens in a man's head when we see a passed out girl? I mean, all men have a high sex drive. The majority do. We all think about sex pretty much around the clock. It's just part of our nature as men. But there's a difference between stumbling upon a woman and saying, hey, this might be a young woman who needs some help. Maybe I should make sure she's okay. She's passed out and drunk. Maybe I should make sure she's safe from any other men who might be thinking of accosting her. Can we get her over to a safe place where people can see her and find out if she's okay? She's passed out. There could be something wrong. Versus seeing an opportunity to get laid at someone else's expense who maybe might not even remember who did it, that you can get away with it. And I don't think it's unusual, particularly for a man who's had a few drinks, to stop and consider the latter for just a brief second before the other switch in his head flips on that says, hey, this is wrong. I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should help her instead. And so I have to wonder what sort of upbringing happened that gave the difference, because this is clearly his father's values were instilled in him, and we can see that from the words of his father, versus these two Swedish young men, these heroes who did physically risk themselves to capture him, to apprehend him, to hold him down until the police arrived, These men did the opposite. They saw a young woman in distress. They saw a predator attacking the helpless, and they physically intervened immediately without concern for the potential risk to themselves. They reacted and they defended her. So it begs the question of what sort of upbringing did these men have? What sort of ideas did these men have? And I find it interesting because normally we're seeing in the culture in Sweden the masculine traits being eroded in their culture. And so it's really interesting for me to see two Swedish young men who come over and they behave exactly in the way that I would expect of an alpha male, of a real man. That is manly. To step in and protect a woman being accosted, that's manly. That makes you a real man. You're a defender of the helpless. You're a defender of the tribe. You're a defender of your community, defending it from predators. That makes you a real man. Not sticking your dick in some passed out girl. And really, that all comes down to just mindset, not just basic morality, because most of us know basic right from wrong, but it's a difference in mindset of how you view your role in society. And that comes down to largely upbringing. It comes down to role models. It comes down to what you were taught. And that is something that we're lacking. And I've done a lot of videos on that. I'm going to link the other video I did on the male role models in our society. And I think it's important because the thing is, you've seen this feminization of society. You've seen all this work by feminists out there to emasculate men. And it has actually done nothing to reduce the rape rate. They talk about rape culture as if what they're promoting changes it. The truth is, men are going to have sexual urges no matter what. When you start removing traditional male values and traditional male ideas of being the protectors and defenders of women and children, you actually instill in men that it might be okay to just act on their sex urges because women aren't helpless. They don't need to be protected, and they're really horny. So if anything, I think the breakdown of gender roles, I think the breakdown of traditional male values, if anything, is going to increase the rape rate. It is going to put more young women at risk. You get men, particularly young men, to stop raping by teaching them what it is to be a real man, a defender and a protector and a guardian of the weaker and more helpless members of the tribe. And let's be realistic here. A young woman who is unarmed is going to be helpless compared to a much physically stronger male than her. And that is simple reality. And no amount of social engineering or change in social ideas is ever going to change that. And again, you have to remind men that they are the defenders. They are the mentors. They are the leaders, the teachers. Those are the roles of men in our society, and they have to view themselves that way so that they can pass those same values on to the next generation. Because if we don't get these young men to start seeing themselves as defenders and protectors, and if that's what real men do, then you're going to get what you see right here. You're going to get young men who have a different view on it, instead of these two young men who saved this girl, who are heroes here. We have to stop the erosion of traditional male values, and we need to understand and recognize that being a man, being a true man, a manly man, is actually beneficial to preventing rape. It will not only teach men to see themselves as defenders and maybe not rape a woman themselves, but it will also produce young men who do what this one did here, who see something going on and they immediately intervene and stop it. They stop the rape from happening any further, and they apprehend the guy so that the police can arrest him. If these two young men hadn't acted, had they not done this, had they not behaved as real men do, this young woman would have continually been raped. It would have gone on longer. This guy would have got up, zipped up his pants, walked away, and never been caught. And he would still be walking the streets out there, still be on campus, still be an Olympic hopeful, go on to the Olympics, and maybe rape a couple other girls along the way since he got away with the first one. That's what would have happened had these young men not reacted in a true masculine and manly manner. So if we want to see more of the latter, we have to stop trying to demasculinize and emasculate men in our society. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.